So the suburbs, you have a good line. You say the economy is a tag, you're it issue, which is true. If you're in office, you own the good, you own the bad. How do you think it plays in the suburbs?
Well, it's going to play real hard for Democrats. I think it's going to be a very, very rough election for Democrats. I don't think it's 80%. I think it's 100% that the Republicans will take the House. I think they're going to take the Senate as well. And what I saw here in the suburbs of Charleston back when I was in Congress was that there were a lot of suburban women who were mortified by Trump's approach, his language, his demeanor. And they said, this isn't what I'd want to be teaching my kids. This doesn't fit. And so they left the Republican Party for a time. But at the end of the day, they were conservative. I think they're going to come back in droves in this election cycle.
Now, in terms of preference of issue, we can show people that if you combine important and very important, I think that's better in terms of preference this close to an election. You see that the economy has a lot of people. It's almost like 8 out of 10, and it's 8.5 out of 10. Abortion. Now, people are going to say, wait a minute, I saw that abortion last week was much lower. This combines important and very important. So it's still a big issue, but it's not the economy. And then it comes down to messaging. Let me ask you this, Gov. Are you okay with your party having control of Congress, given the dynamic that is going on and all the toxicity in the ranks on the right now?
Well, now they're going to have to own it. I mean, the beauty of being in the minority is you can say anything you want and you kind of get away with it. You actually have to govern when you're in the majority. And so I think it'll actually rein in some of the rhetoric and some of the approach. I can only hope that. I don't know it, but I would hope that. But I know that there is a gravitas that comes with the majority that does not exist in the minority role. I would also say this, that, for me as a taxpayer, I'm kind of excited about divided government, because whether Republicans are in control or Democrats are in control, at the end of the day, the party in control oftentimes is the party of spending. And I think that one of the things that's totally out of control, that's not being talked about in this election cycle, is indeed spending and debt. I think it has much to do with the inflation numbers that we're suffering through right now that are frankly going to get much worse, I believe. But I think divided government would be a helpful curb to the inflation figures that we're going to have to fight here over the months and years ahead.
That's an interesting take. Let's talk about this state of play. I mean, also, spending, everybody says they want to cut spending until they're in power, as you said, which is a very fair point, right?
Yeah.
The Republicans were in charge, Trump tax cuts, they didn't pay for them. That's part of what we're paying for right now in terms of the overall economy. What does the Pelosi attack mean to you in terms of how it's been handled in the political ranks?
Well, it's more the same, which is he said, she said. Our party all has halos, and the other folks are demons, and so extra things are thrown in. The bottom line is whether it was the Rand Paul attack in the backyard, whether it was with Steve Scalise back when I was in Congress, whether it's this latest attack. There are just a bunch of crazies out there, and you see it for some reason. This is a societal question. It goes well beyond politics, even with school shootings. I mean, you just see, when you and I grew up, there weren't a lot of school shootings, but it's a weekly occurrence now. So I would just say that violence and craziness just seems to be seeping through the floorboards in a very frightening way in politics these days.
What makes it better?
Leadership. I mean, at the end of the day, whether it's a church or synagogue, I think that the church needs to take up its role and speak a bit more forcefully. I saw a lot of churches and people that I respect in that environment kowtowing to Trump with stuff that they would not put up with in their home. So I think part of it is outside of government, and part of it is within government, which is why I spoke out against Trump at the time that I was in office, though it was a death sentence, saying you can't use these kinds of words and this kind of language and it not have an impact. So I think it's leadership at the corporate level, political level, and church level, or church or synagogue level, and we've at times seen muted responses on a variety of fronts. It's time, per your soliloquy earlier, for people to really speak up on this front.
It's got to be bottom up, because it ain't going to be top down. Former South Carolina Governor Mark Sanford, friend of show. Appreciate you being here with us. I hope to see you often. Be well, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com newsnationnow.com, and you can find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of News Nation's fact-driven coverage.